In this day and age, everybody knows what it means when someone says global warming or greenhouse gases. We all know we have to switch off our lights and ride the bus or walk if we can. But in New Zealand, in the context of global warming and greenhouse gas emissions, we are in a particularly unique situation. That's to say, unlike other developed nations, our primary source of greenhouse gas emissions doesn't come from the burning of fossil fuels. It's not from electricity, heat, or transportation. So, what can we blame? In New Zealand, we blame our cows and our sheep. Due to our agricultural strength in farming, New Zealand is home to up to 66 million cattle, including cows and sheep. The one major drawback of this fact is that cows and sheep are notable ruminants, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is having a severe impact on our nationwide greenhouse gas emission factor. Ruminants are mammals, namely cows and sheep, with a special stomach called the rumen that is home to specific types of bacteria and microorganisms that help the animal to ferment the plant material it consumes. Specifically of interest are the methanogens, microorganisms found in the rumen that take the excess hydrogen produced during initial bacterial digestion, which on its own would be highly toxic to the animal, and mix it in with a bit of carbon dioxide to ultimately produce a methane waste product, which is then belched into the atmosphere by the animal. Multiply each methane burp by 66 million ruminants, and we have a problem. Farming-related products make up the majority of New Zealand's $62 million exports, and yet 81 million tonnes of greenhouse gas emissions per year are too significant to completely ignore. We are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Internationally, the primary way of research into going about this situation is by starting with the food. By altering the food source, we can slightly alter the chemistry that occurs in the rumen, which could potentially lead to the production of a different compound, such as is the case with a nitrate additive, for example. In this scenario, nitrate is added to the cow's feed, and as a result, the methanogens use this compound as a way of absorbing the excess hydrogen, thus forming ammonia instead of methane. In some tests, this method of use has resulted in up to 70% reductions in methane emissions. However, a major concern is that in the rumen, the nitrate can be converted into nitrite, which is toxic to the animal. So the issue is to find a way of delivering the nitrate in a way that won't cause any harm. Back home in New Zealand, in an experiment conducted by Ag Research, key target enzymes are being identified. By understanding their structure, the team can then identify structural components of the enzyme that can be inhibited, thus allowing for us to control methane emissions by blocking these enzymes that are necessary for the methanogen survival. Some compounds have already been found and are being tested with up to 20 to 30% reductions in methane emissions being recorded. The issue is that in New Zealand, sheep and cattle are put out to pasture compared to places such as Europe where they're treated regularly. A way of counteracting this could be through the use of vaccination. By synthesizing proteins found on the surface of the ruminant methanogens and injecting these into the animals, injecting these into the animals, an antibody attack could be induced to work against the methanogens. As of yet, however, the team have only been able to induce a successful response in test tube conditions. Whatever the method may be, the main goal is to reduce the overall methane emissions per ruminant, while still maintaining or optimizing the overall yield, for example, in terms of milk production or meat production. Though we've yet to find a complete answer to the situation, some scientists are confident that we may be able to release a product within the next 5 years. Either way, any breakthrough would be welcome news to farming groups within New Zealand, farming and environmental groups within New Zealand and all over the world. And then, with cow burps out of the way, we can go back to focusing on our own environmental footprints. But that's a whole other story entirely. Thank you very much.